Take a breath. Yeah, right there. Welcome to Take That Truth and Walk With It with Reverend Rich P., the podcast where real life meets real spirit. This isn't just talk. This is practical spirituality. This is faith in action. We're diving into the moments you live every day, the wins, the struggles, the how did I even get here seasons, and pulling the truth out of them. Not the polished truth, the real truth, the kind you can actually use. So whether you're on your way to work, sitting in your car trying to get your mind right, or just looking for a word that hits different, you're in the right place. Because here's the deal, you already have what you need. We're just here to remind you. Let's get into it.
Take a breath right here. Just breathe into this space. Settle into this space. Good. Well, I want to welcome you to Take This Truth and Walk With It. I'm Rev Rich P. And today we're talking about alignment. A lot of people spend years searching for motivation while quietly feeling exhausted, distracted, emotionally overloaded, and disconnected from themselves. They consume content, they gather ideas, they wait for inspiration to arrive consistently. Meanwhile, daily life continues moving. Our responsibilities continue, our stress builds, our pressure continues. And at some point, many people realize they don't need hype. They need rhythms, habits, decisions, and environments that support who they are becoming. This conversation is about creating alignment between your inner life and the way you move through your everyday life. Because alignment creates clarity, alignment supports your inner peace, and alignment strengthens consistency. So let's go ahead and walk together for a little while as we discuss alignment in your world. And I think a lot of people have experienced this before. You feel inspired after hearing a message, watching a video, attending a workshop, or having a powerful conversation. Your energy rises, your perspective shifts. You feel ready to change something in your life. And then everyday life returns. Work schedules, family responsibilities, stress, fatigue, distraction, and only after a few days, the emotional energy fades. I think this is one of the things that I truly like to dive into because I remember I'm a big fan of Lisa Nichols. If you haven't checked out her work, she has some wonderful books and her workshops are great. She even has a workshop for people who want to work with teens. But I remember her saying that there were different levels of speakers. And as always, when I first decided to start speaking, I wanted to be a motivational speaker. Then I heard of what they call an inspirational speaker. And then there was a transformational speaker. So motivational speaker, based on what we're talking about here today, those are the people that get on stage, they hype you up, you're ready to go, you left the workshop, you left the video, whatever it is, you're ready to go. Next morning you wake up and you forgot why you were excited in the first place. Now your inspirational speaker, your inspirational video actually touches something with you, or as they said, to inspedo or to breathe into something into you. But once again, it was something inside of you decided to wake up, something inside you got excited, you had this motivation inside that said, I can be more than I can be, but the next morning you sat there in a rowboat without an oar. And then the transformational speaker. This is the speaker I aspire to be. This is the one that not only gets you excited, but breathes inspiration into you, allowing you to accept that inspiration. But most importantly, I give homework. And it's giving you tools to use to improve your life. Now, of course, the choice is yours. But this is where alignment comes in, where you get that excitement, that motivation to say, hey, I'm ready to change. You get the inspiration to say, I can be more than I can be. And finally, I have the tools to build that. But again, the choice is yours. So after, you get to that point where emotional energy fades, that experience creates frustration because people begin questioning themselves. Meanwhile, the issue often comes down to alignment. So how many workshops, how many books have you read and you're excited to get started and this and that, but then after the fading of your energy goes, you decide, yeah, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I can't, whatever. And I've talked about the book by Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. When inspiration, call it your divine intuition, whatever you'd like to call it, is knocking at your heart saying, this is for you. This is what you need to do. This is where you need to act from. And you give yourself that 5 seconds of thought, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, your mind starts creating stories as to why not. And we want to work past that today. So some examples of that would be a person may deeply desire peace while maintaining routines that constantly create emotional overload. A person may desire healing while remaining connected to environments that drain emotional energy. A person may desire growth while living without supportive structures. Alignment asks the important question, does my life support the future I desire? And that question creates awareness, and awareness creates room for healthier choices. And here's your choice again. So ask yourself again, does your daily life support the future that you desire? And are you ready and willing to make those choices and be open to the tools, the responsibility of moving forward? Unity's teachings emphasize consciousness, intention, awareness, and the creative nature of thought. What you consistently nurture internally influences you, how you experience life externally. That's why spiritual practice matters. Prayers matter because it connects awareness with peace. Reflection matters because it creates clarity. Healthy routines matter because they influence emotional and spiritual stability. Alignment grows when your values, decisions, habits, and environments begin supporting one another. Scripture often points towards steadiness, wisdom, awareness, and intentional living. This is where tremendous value is creating a life of supported rhythms. A healthy rhythm might include, intentional rest, setting that bedtime that, you're going to bed at this time, waking up at this time. Spiritual reflection. What time do you use for prayer and maybe reading whatever the your holy book is, whether it's the Torah, whether it's the Bible, whether it's, the Quran, whether it's just some spiritual books that help. Where's your emotional honesty? Supportive relationships, movements for your body, creative expressions, and finally, quiet moments without constant stimulation. Each one of these choices influences the emotional energy over time. Many people keep waiting for motivation while their nervous system is carrying exhaustion. Care creates stronger foundations for growth. Supportive routines strengthen consistency naturally, and that process deserves patience. We talk about this world is not fast enough, where fast food isn't fast enough. So once again, we want to take patience with ourselves. We want to start creating these routines, even if it is a small step. So let's turn this into more of a practical spirituality. And we know, just to remind you, that practical spirituality is no different from spirituality, other than that we don't just listen to it. We actually walk the truth we know. So let's look at our practical steps here. Alignment often begins through observation. So start to pay attention to what restores your energy. When do you feel more energetic, or at least more calm? Then, at the same note, what drains your attention? What supports your peace, and what increases your stress unnecessarily? What habits would help you feel grounded? Your daily environment influences your emotional state more than many people realize. Music influences mood. I'm big on this one. I always say to people I've worked with, create the soundtrack of your life. Grab the songs that make you energized, make you feel alive, and you have your soundtrack for those quiet times. Conversation influences perspective. Sleep influences clarity, and digital consumption influences focus. This is why intentional living matters. Alignment also includes the way you speak to yourself. Your inner conversation shapes emotional atmosphere. Compassionate self-awareness supports healthier growth than consistent criticism, and growth becomes sustainable when people create supportive structures around their goals. So this may include setting realistic expectations. Hey, I'd like to go to 0 to 60 in a couple of seconds, but I understand it's those small steps that get you there. You want to honor your rest, limiting unnecessary distractions. I have a lot of people that I know who doom scroll. I'm guilty of scrolling myself, so I'm not saying I'm completely innocent. But I've seen people spend their days scrolling and then wonder why things aren't happening the way they're supposed to, because they're giving their time to a distraction with the excuse of, I'm learning something, I'm just keeping my mind focused, rather than finding healthy ways to do that. Making time for reflection, just sitting back and saying, hey, have I become the person better today than I was yesterday? Where is my inner peace coming from? Prioritizing your emotional wellness. If you're feeling overwhelmed, and I get it, trust me, I do. I talk about triggers all the time. I talk about the times when I fall back into victimhood, where my mind is like, well, it's their part and that fault, and if this didn't happen. But when I can regain that time, regain that emotional awareness and say, hey, where do I play my responsibility at, and how I'm the one that has the power to change that for myself. That helps my emotional awareness, because then that becomes a habit that even if I do fall back into victimhood, my mind immediately goes, oh, nope, we got to move. It's nice to visit, wave to everybody, keep going. And finally, building healthy routines gradually. Your spirit responds well to consistently rooted in care. I want you to repeat that. Your spirit responds well to consistency rooted in care. So what's the walk this week? Well, choose one area of your life where you desire greater alignment. Ask yourself, what supportive change would help me feel more grounded, focused, and emotionally healthy? And then when you ask yourself, make sure that you're coming from a practical point of view. Don't just say, hey, this would happen. No. What can I practice that'll bring me back into a grounded, focused, and being emotionally healthy? And again, some of the suggestions you may do: create a morning routine. Get up. There used to be an acronym, which was RPM: run, rise, pee, and meditate. Okay. So again, create a morning routine. Spend less time scrolling. Return to journaling. I fall off and go back, but it's when I do keep up with it, I love it. It allows me to speak my truth into that book. Make space for prayer. Improve your sleep habits. Reconnect with creativity. Organize your schedule. Spend time in peaceful environments. This is one that I share, call it advice. Oh, well. But, when I can sit outside with a cup of coffee, or maybe I'll decide to have a drink and a cigar and just sit there and look at nature. I had the privilege the other day. My wife set up a hummingbird station, and it was kind of low, and we thought nobody visited. And during the time of us talking, we had emptied it out, and I felt so bad because I saw the hummingbird come. And at first I thought it was just another bird, but when I looked, it was actually a hummingbird. And to me, that was the most miraculous thing, just to see the hummingbird come and know that it was coming that low. So we would have to refill it, put it back, because our brother hummingbirds were looking for some nectar. And again, one intentional adjustment can influence your emotional energy in most powerful ways. So alignment grows through that consistent care. So let's go ahead and wrap this up here. Again, alignment is very important in your life. Take a small step toward that, and as we take a breath, as we close out here, your life deserves supportive rhythms. Your spirit deserves peaceful space. Your growth deserves intentional care. Alignment creates room for clarity, confidence, healing, and forward movement. So keep those thoughts in your mind as we go on. And I want to thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who may need support, creating healthier balance and stronger alignments in their life. And you can stay connected with me, as always, at my website at revrichp.com. And if you're ready to deepen your growth journey, explore the Take This Truth and Walk With It journal experience. And as always, take the truth and walk with it. This is Rev Rich P, and I wish you peace and blessings.
Take a breath. Let that settle in. Now, don't just hear it, walk it. Because truth isn't something you collect. It's something you live. And the moment you start applying it, everything begins to shift. If something spoke to you today, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, pass it on. Be the light in somebody else's moment. And if you're ready to go deeper, more tools, more truth, more ways to live this thing out in real time, head over to revrichp.com. That's where we keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and keep showing up as who you already are. Take that truth and walk with it. Peace and blessings.